Intermittent fasting is everywhere these days. You probably have a friend who's doing it. You might even be doing it yourself. But what does science actually say about intermittent fasting? That's what we're going to talk about today. I am a family physician. Let's talk about the truth about intermittent fasting. What science actually says. First of all, let's kind of define our terms here. Intermittent fasting is not a diet. It's a pattern of eating. And there are several different patterns of eating that fall under the umbrella of intermittent fasting. One of them is called daily time-restricted feeding, or DTRF. And basically, with this, you just limit your eating to a certain window of time each day. 6 hours, 8 hours, 10 hours, whatever. The most popular version of intermittent fasting is called the 16/8 method. And basically you fast for 16 hours and you eat during an 8-hour window. Another form of intermittent fasting is called the 5-2-2 diet, or the 5-2-2 plan. And basically with this one, 5 days a week you eat normally, and 2 days a week you restrict your calories to 500 calories or less. There are other forms of intermittent fasting, and they're all pretty similar. So how does intermittent fasting work? Well, if you don't eat, you lose weight because you're in a calorie deficit, right? Not necessarily. It turns out the way intermittent fasting works to help you lose weight, if that is one of your goals, is primarily by reducing the amount of food you eat outside of your feeding window. So let me explain. When you don't eat, your body converts stored energy into glucose through a process called gluconeogenesis. And when that happens, your body releases stored glycogen into your bloodstream, which raises your blood sugar level. Now, your body is very smart. It knows when there's glucose in your bloodstream from either the food you just ate or the conversion of glycogen, and it doesn't want to make more glucose through that gluconeogenesis pathway. So when your blood sugars rise, your body releases insulin. Insulin's job is to lower your blood sugar. So if your blood sugar rises, insulin goes up, and insulin tells your body to store excess glucose as fat. This is true when you're re-eating normal food. And this is also true when you're re-eating high carbohydrates. Foods like bread and pasta and cereal and pancakes and sodas and juice. So by restricting your eating to a certain window of time, you allow your body to use up its stored glycogen, and then when you start eating again, you're tapping into stored fat and protein for energy, and your body is unconverting as much protein and fat into stored fat. So theoretically, if you eat the same amount of food each day, but just at different times, you will lose weight with intermittent fasting. So if you have a tendency to snack mindlessly between meals, intermittent fasting may be very helpful to you in reducing the amount of food you eat, if you aren't really hungry when you go to eat. But you just snack mindlessly while you're watching TV or working, then this may be very helpful to you. Now, what does the science say about intermittent fasting? Well, there are over 400 studies on intermittent fasting. We're not going to review all of them here, but I did want to tell you about a few large ones that were done recently. In 2019, a study was published comparing two groups of overweight or obese adults. One group was counseled to eat 500 fewer calories per day than they used to eat, and the other group was counseled to eat 500 fewer calories, but they could only eat those calories in a 6-hour window each day. Both groups lost weight, but the group that fasted actually lost more weight, 9 pounds more in this study. There was another study done in 2019 that compared two groups of overweight or obese adults. One group received standard weight loss counseling, and the other group received standard weight loss counseling. Plus, they were told to only eat during a 6-hour window each day. After 6 months, the group that fasted lost significantly more weight. They lost almost twice as much weight as the group that just got standard weight loss counseling. And in 2020, a large randomized controlled trial was done involving nearly 3,000 people who were overweight or obese. Half of them were counseled to eat 35% fewer calories than they used to eat. And the other half were counseled to eat 35% fewer calories, but they had to do it within a 6 to 8 hour feeding window each day. After 6 months, both groups lost about the same amount of weight. What can we conclude from this? Well, first of all, yes, intermittent fasting helps you lose weight, but so does eating 35% fewer calories. So, if you're currently eating 2,000 calories a day, then 35% of that is 1,300 calories. So you would only be allowed to eat 1,300 calories a day. Not very practical. It's not very realistic. And frankly, It's borderline unhealthy. But what if you cut out all the snacks? All the mindless eating, and you could still eat 2,000 calories a day. Would intermittent fasting be helpful to you? Maybe? Probably. If you are a snacker, it may help you eat less total calories. How about the quality of weight loss? Was it better with intermittent fasting versus just calorie restriction? The answer appears to be yes. In this 2020 study, lean body mass was preserved with intermittent fasting and reduced with calorie restriction. Another study showed that people who fasted had better improvements in their lipid profiles, specifically higher HDL and lower triglycerides than people who just reduced their calorie intake without the fasting. So does this mean that everyone should do intermittent fasting? No. Some people cannot tolerate fasting. Some people have a history of disordered eating. Some people have a family history of disordered eating. For some people, fasting may trigger disordered eating. So you really need to be careful if you have a history of disordered eating or a family history of disordered eating that you won't push yourself too far with fasting. Also, people who have diabetes and take insulin or sulfonylurea medications that lower your blood sugar may experience dangerous low blood sugars when they try to fast. Also, pregnant women, breastfeeding mothers, children, and adolescents should avoid fasting. If you want to try intermittent fasting, I would recommend starting slowly. Start with just delaying breakfast for a day or two. Just skip it. See how you feel. If you feel fine, then delay breakfast for a few more days. Skip breakfast for a few more days. See how you feel? You can also start by just cutting your feeding window down by an hour a day. So if you eat breakfast at 8 a.m., lunch at 12, a snack at 3, dinner at 6, then start eating breakfast at 9, lunch at 1, snack at 4, dinner at 7. Cut out that snack in the middle of the day and see how you feel. Do that for a few days. Then cut out another hour of your feeding window until you get down to around 12 hours of eating each day. Then you can start trying to lower it to 10 hours of eating each day. As you do this, make sure you're drinking plenty of water. Make sure you don't feel dizzy or lightheaded or weak when you're fasting. If you do, break your fast and eat something immediately. Go slow. Don't push yourself too hard. If you're exercising, make sure you're getting enough calories during your feeding window so you don't compromise your performance. And if you have any medical conditions at all, please talk to your doctor before you start fasting. Fasting may be good for you, but it may not be good for you. You need to know where you are on that spectrum. Your doctor is the only one who can help you figure that out. Hope this video helps. This is the doctor. I'll see you next time.